Hi there and welcome to another devlog for The Serpent and the Seed, the beautiful game about the Bible that our team released back in April. I thought this week I'd try a slightly more chilled kind of devlog where I just tell you everything I get up to this week. So as my project for this week, I thought I'd try and get the game translated into other languages. That would be really fun. My first job for today is quite an easy one. I just need to pull out some of the captions from things like buttons and UI prompts. So just got to get cracking. I'm really encouraged by the progress I've made this morning, but now it's time for some lunch. So there we go. I think that's actually all of the UI text throughout the whole game done. I think the biggest challenge for this now is just going to be testing it, because basically anything in the whole game could be broken now. Thankfully we've got a fast forward setting, which means I can play the game much faster than a normal person. Okay, so I found my first bug, and this just goes to show exactly why testing is so important. So I'm going to go and name this fish. Adam's going to come along and sit down. What should we call it? I don't know, pick maybe like, white teeming carp. I'm going to press go. You help name an animal. Jesus. That's not the name I picked. Oops. Let's not name our fish Jesus. So it's Tuesday morning. I managed to get that bug fixed pretty easily, but I do want to stick with naming the animals because it's quite a challenge in French. In English you have these different word options. Some of them are like adjectives, nouns, names. Obviously in French you have genders like masculine and feminine adjectives, so that's going to need some extra work. I didn't get loads done this morning. I had a few meetings and a bit of admin to do. But on a Tuesday, our local farm shop sells freshly baked bread. So we're going to go for a little walk through the woods, my wife and I. So I think this afternoon I'm going to try populating this spreadsheet with the masculine and feminine form of each adjective, and for each noun what gender it is, and we'll see what we can do with that. Okay, so I've had a bit of a go at populating this spreadsheet. Where it's going to get a bit tricky, I think, is some of these things like water dwelling. Like maybe you could say, think a fish who lives in the water, but it's not very natural, I don't think, in French. It gets tricky if you want to combine them, so like a golden water dweller. You want to be clear that it's the thing that lives that is gold rather than the water. I think basically I'm going to have to speak to a French speaker. I'm going to have to ring a friend.
Hi Andy.
Hello, how are you doing? My friend recommends someone I should get in touch with, so I've sent them an email laying out the problem and hopefully they'll have some thoughts. Well, I didn't manage to get much coding done in the end today, but hopefully I have a better handle on what the problem is, and hopefully in the next few days I'll get an answer to that email and can start moving forwards. It's Wednesday morning, and before I do anything else, I'm going to record a podcast with some friends about the game. Hopefully it'll be a good opportunity to share the word with some Christian parents. I haven't had an answer to my email just yet, but I'm going to start the day with a bit of coding so that different languages can use different subclasses of my name generation code. Hopefully whatever happens, that will be useful. Okay, so here we are, it's back to exactly where we started, only now the code that generates these names is language specific, meaning that we can specialise it according to whatever language the player is using. My wife's out this lunchtime, so I think I'm going to take the opportunity to go round some nearby National Trust grounds. I'm going to try adding in some extra metadata with each word so that it knows whether it's feminine or masculine, and so that it can change the text accordingly. Okay, so here's where I've got to. So it's running in French mode. So if I just pick here poisson, which is fish, blanc, which is white. So this is a white fish. Whereas if I were to say carp, it would change from blanc to blanche, which is the feminine form. So it's kind of using the noun to decide which form of the adjective to display. So it doesn't cover all the cases, but this is a good start, and I'm pretty pleased with that. So it's Thursday morning, and I've had an email back from this translator contact, which is great. She's given some suggestions of like how these different names could work, and I'm starting to see some patterns. So there's some promise there. I need to dig into this. So I'm going to see if I can write some automated tests that will take certain words and spit out reasonable answers. I've never actually done this in Unity before, so it'll be a bit of an experiment. And it turns out that it's a bit of a nightmare if it's an existing project to get your assembly definitions working. So I've abandoned that. So instead, I've just tried to build a thing that generates a whole bunch of different permutations and spits them out, and I can sort of quickly see if the rules I've defined are working. There's definitely a lot more work I still need to do. Like, for example, if you pick multiple nouns or you pick multiple adjectives, but you know, it's a start. So here's where I've got to. I've now gone a little bit more complex. So everything has both a singular and a plural form, masculine and feminine. I'm pretty pleased with this, but there's, what do you do if there's like multiple nouns? This is obviously not right. I haven't even tackled the things like a water dweller or a field dewer. So I've sent this to my contact and asked a few more questions, and we'll see what she says overnight. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day there and come back to this tomorrow. I always start on a Friday morning with a half-hour project management call with my friend James. These have been an absolute game changer for the last couple of years, and I really value these. Today I want to move on from naming the animals and focus on this next bit of the puzzle, which is the beautiful lettering that Sophie Killingley has produced for us. I considered a couple of different approaches. We could just add a subtitle, but that's a bit boring. We could try and make some kind of font out of these, but I don't love that idea either. So I think what James and I have discussed is, can we just have a custom set of PNGs for each language, and it just downloads them when you first launch the game. That's going to give us the most flexibility. It doesn't rule out using a font, but it just gives us more options. So something else that I've been waiting for today, we entered something called the Nix Game Awards, and today they've announced their early results, and if you go on the winners page and search for the Serpent The Seed, look what happened. So we are a gold winner in 3 categories: best music in a mobile game, best narrative in a mobile game, and best storytelling. And a silver winner for best visual art. Amazing. I mean, it's been such a privilege working with this amazing team on this game, and wonderful to see it being recognised, and amazing to see a game about the Bible being recognised too. So really thrilled about this, and I hope it helps more people to discover the game and ultimately to meet Jesus through it. Right, so here's where I've got to by the end of the day. We're running in French mode, and when I run this scene, there's a Bible verse in French, roughly. It's only meant to be approximate, but the point is it's using a custom French sprite. And again, in this scene, that's in French. Whereas if I go into project settings and change the locale to English, then now when I run that same scene, the verse is back in English, as you'd expect. So there you go. So I haven't got the downloadable aspect working, but I've made a really good start. I'm pretty happy with that, and it puts me in good stead for when I come back to finish this project later. So there you go, that's me done for the week. So I'm going to stop there. If you've enjoyed watching this, I've got another couple of devlogs done in this style that you might enjoy, or I've made a video about the development process of the game over the last 4 years.